Greetings, life forms, wherever you're receiving us. This is Justin.
And Matt.
And I just had a bunch of premarital sex and smoked some marijuana reefer cigarettes. I'm sure Jason will totally leave me alone. My name's Landon. Don't.
Oh, yeah. Totally ignore that.
Oh, you
It
guys
means
can hear
nothing.
that too? I
It
thought,
means nothing.
I thought that was just
It's
me for a
actually,
second.
it's
I
actually,
thought I had something in the background here on my tabs.
it's people wishing you luck is all it is.
Yes. I welcome their luck, especially that big giant guy with the hockey mask standing outside my window. I'm
Oh, yeah.
waving at. Oh, that's a big knife. Neat.
Well, the holiday is upon us, my friends. It is Friday the 13th weekend. I suspect that we're going to release this episode hopefully in time for Friday the 13th. So that's
That would really be nice.
All jokes are null and void.
exactly.
Yeah, right.
They could be totally just out of date by the time this drops on Sunday. But no, we're going to get
That's
this.
the case. I'm going to do a bunch of material I wrote for Secretary Day.
Okay. Very good.
Secretary Day.
But this is
I've got a lot of jokes for Pi Day.
well,
You do. Well, you have a joke about Pi Day that you're going to make several times.
Okay, I told you that joke, and I told you the other joke. I mean, 2 counts, right?
They're not that different.
Well, speaking of things that aren't that different, this is episode 83 of Nerd News Cafe. Today is April the 11th, and we are recording on a Wednesday evening because we all couldn't make Thursday work because Landon said he had something like a job or something. I don't know. It's kind of unbelievable.
4-letter word things, gross.
Because we all know he doesn't have such a thing. But we're going to play along with it, so we're recording tonight. But we are going to talk. We're going to talk some Friday the 13th. We're going to talk some slasher films. We got a few other things coming up as well. Before we really get into everything, let's talk drinks. I don't know if you gentlemen have anything with you to drink. I'm going to talk about mine first because it's totally unimportant and uninteresting.
Well, then let's lead off the top with it.
But it is.
That's right.
It is a Mountain Dew. We're doing the Dew tonight. I need a little extra caffeine.
I was gonna say you sound a touch under the weather. Are you doing okay?
I'm good. I got a little cold. I think this weather that's been one day 70 degrees, the next day 35, the next day 80.
You mean
Yep.
typical East Tennessee weather?
Yeah, that might have something to do with it, but I'm okay. I'm going to make it. I'm going to try. I told the guys before the show I'm going to try my hardest not to sniffle directly into the microphone, although I've already done it once. I'll try not to do it again. So hopefully this Mountain Dew can power me through.
There you go.
All right. Matt, what have you
You'll
got?
be all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I will be.
I am living the family man dream with a polar water.
What family dream is that?
It's cranberry and lime, really getting a little crazy.
Is there vodka in it? Otherwise, you're not getting crazy.
There is not,
So not
Oh
crazy.
my gosh.
because I have a 4-letter word tomorrow.
Oh, not
Nope.
that word.
Stay on your toes, sick boy.
All right, Landon, what do you
Somebody's
got?
editing.
I am being fancy. I am drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh, that is quite fancy of you.
Yes, I'm being an adult tonight by drinking a red wine, which is great for your heart and circulation, as everybody knows.
It is very good because of the antioxidants.
Exactly. I mean, you read it all the time online. A box of wine a day keeps the doctor.
I was going to ask you if this was
It
from a
does.
box.
Oh, hell yeah, it's a box. I got one of them Boda boxes.
We have one in the
Hey.
refrigerator too, actually.
Those things are pretty classy.
I think
Heck yeah. I mean, it's like on the front of it, it says one Boda box equals 4 bottles of wine. And if I'm paying $18 for that, I like that exchange rate.
so. I guess you're doing the kind of math I do, like when I pick up a bag of Skittles, and it's like each serving contains this many calories, but there may be more than one serving in a bag. But to me, I'm looking at that bag, and that looks like a serving to me. So
Yep.
you
It
look at that.
absolutely is.
You may
I
say
hate
that's
that.
4 servings in the box, but really that's 1 serving.
I mean, and-
Snickers, man, they're true tricksters. It's like only 140 calories per bite.
Yeah, for a
and it doesn't say
bite.
that to the back.
But hey, I mean, that might be why you need to have a Snickers when you're hungry. It has all those calories for your body to get back on track and also get diabetes.
Diabetes. Yeah.
It has what the plants crave.
And then you can.
Diabetes? That's what plants crave?
Yeah, they crave your body when you fall over.
That's true. Well, you are feeding the earth. You're actually doing a good thing if you're killing yourself early. The
Fertilize.
you're doing
Hey, let's save these jokes for Earth Day.
Okay, we'll save it. We're gonna hit it hard. We're gonna be very, very anti-human and in industry on Earth Day.
We're coming for you, humanity.
No one's ever done that.
No, I mean, it's not like Mother Nature has ever come for that. It's not like space dropped a rock on the planet to do that. It's not like our current political climate is. Yeah, you know what? Never mind. Yeah.
Okay, I say we move on. I did want to say welcome back. You know, we had a week off last week because the week before we did double duty. We recorded one of our episodes. Then Matt and I had a special guest spot on the WrestleMania preview show. So last week in the Nerd News Cafe feed, you got the WrestleMania show. I hope you all enjoyed that. We had a lot of fun recording it. Here we are in the post WrestleMania afterglow. Landon, what were your thoughts overall on the show? Did it meet your expectations?
I'm going into it. If you listen to our episode of Near Fall Radio, by the way, thank you for downloading and listening, and thank you for not running off when you saw a wrestling episode invade your feed last week. In that episode, I said several times that on paper, this could be the most star-studded WrestleMania card ever. So that right there, I mean, that puts expectations high. So having said that, I don't know if it met those expectations of the greatest WrestleMania of all time. It clearly didn't, but it was still a fun card.
I mean, the star power was undeniable. There were a lot of expectations going in. I don't think it delivered overall. And there were some head-scratcher decisions. I just, some of the booking just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, like we said, maybe they have this grand master plan that we just don't see.
But real quick, before we move on, I want to highlight a positive that I really enjoyed from WrestleMania 34 because it was a good show, I thought. Ronda Rousey looked like $1 million freaking dollars, and she is going to make the WWE all the money in the world if they handle her correctly. Like flat out, that was the best part of WrestleMania 34 was Ronda Rousey and her match.
Yeah, and speaking of work being a 4-letter word, Matt was going to come up and join me and watch the show, and he texted me pre-show. He's like, I got to tie some loose ends up. I'm not going to be able to make it. And I was like, boo. So he didn't get to...
So Matt's text got the same reaction Roman Reigns got at WrestleMania 34.
Exactly. But then
booed out of the building.
Matt was booed out of the building just like Roman Reigns. But then he probably was grateful when he heard it was a 7-hour show because that, like I said on Twitter, that was like a hostage situation. Anyway, let's move on to the nerdy stuff, guys. Not that that's not nerdy, because it is. It's just a different kind of nerdy.
I was going to say that's the nicest thing I've heard anybody say about wrestling. It's not nerdy.
No, it's nerdy.
Yeah, it's so nerdy.
I want to put a bow on March Madness now that March is over, and we'd kind of teased that we were going to talk about this Disney Pixar bracket that came out. So I put out a challenge to our group here, sitting at the virtual table, to come up just with a final 4 of their Disney Pixar movies from that bracket that was floating around on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, or maybe about a month ago. And so we talked about it pre-show. I know you guys have a final 4, so we can just kind of go round table. And here's what I want to do. Let's talk left side of the bracket first, which is the Disney movies. I want to know who is fighting for a chance at the championship in that Disney bracket. And let's start with Matt.
For mine, it was really hard on the bottom side. The top side, for me, I think a good contender, and it's hard to go away from, is Lion King.
Okay.
And then on the bottom side, I had some mixed emotions, but I went with Aladdin because it's pretty solid.
Okay, so you truly are going classics in there. Those are some movies from our childhood. Yeah,
classics, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think, Matt, I felt the same way you did. I kind of thought the bottom side of the bracket was a little more difficult. There's some really good contenders down there. But for me, coming out of we're going to say fighting out of that bottom 8, it's going to be Beauty and the Beast.
Wow.
Representing the bottom part of the bracket. The top half, the top half. Again, there's some pretty strong contenders up there. I think Disney is good at what they do. They make some really amazing animated features. So. Another strong field. I was very tempted to. I'll tell you this: we talk about like matchups being tough early on. For me, one of the tough ones was Princess and the Frog and Lilo and Stitch in round 1 because I love Lilo and Stitch, but Princess and the Frog is amazing. Both of those are really, really good. Doesn't matter because neither one of them are going to advance. I'm going.
It doesn't matter what they want.
Going full rock on that one. I'm going Moana in the top.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Moana. So for me in the final matchup, heading into the tournament championship, it would be Moana versus Beauty and the Beast. So did that give you enough time?
Unfortunately, it didn't, but I found a bracket that I can fill out as we go. So, pray for my iPad. I'm scared now. On the left side of the bracket, and I really wanted to let Big Hero 6 go deep in that top bracket, but it ran into, and this is the winner of my bracket. I'm going very unconventional because this is just me personally. Lilo and Stitch beats Lion King.
Okay.
Because, for whatever reason, the character of Stitch just really clicked with me and was part of my, I guess, Disney renaissance, what really got me back into Disney. In the bottom part of the left side of the bracket, I have Aladdin moving on over Hercules. I got Little Mermaid over Pocahontas. Maybe in somewhat of an upset, I got Zootopia over Mulan, Beauty and the Beast over Nightmare Before Christmas, because what the hell was Nightmare Before Christmas doing?
It's amazing.
I mean, it's good,
pretty awesome.
but compare, it's like, I don't know if I would put it up next to Pixar. The only Pixar movie I think I'd put it up against is maybe Brave and the Good Dinosaur.
Okay.
But coming out of the bottom of that bracket, I actually have two classics facing off, and I have Aladdin beating out Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, so yours is Aladdin versus Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah, that is correct.
Heading into the finals? Okay. Why don't you kick us off with the right side? Since you're kind of on fire there, you're on a roll, so... how's your Pixar bracket shake out?
Pixar bracket, I have Up moving on over Brave. I have Toy Story 2 defeating Toy Story 1. Coco defeats Cars 2 because lol Cars 2. Toy Story 3 beats out Good Dinosaur because lol Good Dinosaur. Coming out of that bracket, I have Toy Story 2 knocking off knocking off Coco to go to the finals.
Okay, and the bottom part?
Bottom part of the bracket, I have Ratatouille over A Bug's Life. I have Inside Out over Finding Nemo. I have Monsters, Inc. over Cars. I have The Incredibles over WALL-E. And I guess this isn't really that big of a shock for me. If you know me, I have The Incredibles knocking out Ratatouille to go to the Final Four.
Okay. All right. Layden's Final Four is set. So, Matt, how about your Pixar bracket?
I'll make it real easy. It's Toy Story 2 and WALL-E.
Okay.
All right, well then.
Yeah,
I
actually,
agree, I like Toy Story, but 2 they really came with it, and
Introducing Trigger and Jesse,
yeah, absolutely.
Or Bullseye, not Trigger. Yeah.
Well, the whole collector side of everything, I really enjoyed that they explored it, and then WALL-E is a beautiful movie from beginning to end, and it really, like we want to do, goes after humanity. So
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my picks.
I don't disagree with you. That's actually the two that are still standing on my bracket for Pixar. So Toy Story 2 and WALL-E for me as well. Out of those four, who have you got in the finals, and then who wins it overall? Just kind of quickly. What do you say, Matt?
Well, I'm gonna have to do it like this because I'm kind of old school.
Okay.
It's gonna be WALL-E. It's gonna be Aladdin. There's gonna be lots of laughs. But just as you get to the final, dun, 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 out of the back comes the classic Robin Hood and Sword in the Stone, and they just take down both of those, and they take the tag team championship with them. So,
my God, I didn't even know they were in the tournament.
None of it. It's Robin Hood and Sword in the Stone tagging it out with the belts they leave.
What is the Dark Cauldron, like their manager or something?
Absolutely. He's out there. Oh, you didn't know.
You remember when Disney did some spooky stuff? No?
That is a disturbing movie.
It is, but like that animation, I was actually talking to a coworker about this today. Like the animation still holds up because it's so different from everything Disney's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually what Thundercats should have been. Because I compare that one to kind of how Mumra was in my memory to that king or whatever, that dead king. So, is it a Goblin King? Is that what he was?
Sure.
There was a Goblin King in Labyrinth.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I mean, if I had to pick one, WALL-E's is almost going to get the pin before the tag team comes in.
All right. So he was close. He got the near fall. If we want to,
he almost got the near fall. I could watch that movie 1,000 times. So
yeah,
it's a great movie.
It is. I'll step in here and I'll just say because mine is going to be well, at least on the Pixar side, it's going to be Wall-E going to the finals and up against Beauty and the Beast for me. So, you know, and maybe it's just the nostalgia piece. I don't know what it is, but Wall-E is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie, so I'm going to take it. It takes the championship in my book.
Okay, all right. I guess representing the Disney brand, I have Aladdin defeating Beauty and the Beast in the Disney Championship, and on the flip side, I have The Incredibles knocking off Toy Story 2, where the family story continues as The Incredibles knock off Aladdin to be declared the best Disney Pixar movie, in my opinion.
Okay, so there you go. So we had 2 Pixar representatives and then I guess 2 Disney representatives if you count Matt's tag team championship that came out of nowhere.
That's right. I couldn't let it go unknown.
And then swerve out of nowhere, it was Shrek all along.
Oh no,
DreamWorks is revealed to be the higher power.
That's right. And stay out of my swamp.
DreamWorks.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the brackets we did for the Marvel Universe and then the discussion around Disney Pixar. You can go out. We actually have this on our Twitter account. So if you go to @nerd_news_cafe, which you should be following already, but you could follow it now. Go out to our likes and you could see this was a Kotaku tweet from March 28th where they actually put theirs out there. For their bracket, Ratatouille was the winner, which to me is a big upset.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say that's a big upset.
Yeah, very much fun. And speaking of big upsets, we put this on our Twitter as well, and a friend of the show, Will West, retweeted it out. He actually went with Zootopia winning it all.
Oh, see, I don't hate that pick because Zootopia.
I don't either.
Yeah, that's a pretty deep movie, man. It has a lot of kind of depth to it, and it's
there's some undertones.
It's heavy,
some real deep undertones.
Yes, some actual honest to God adult stuff they have to deal with in that movie.
For real. So. Good on Will West, and you know, if you want to hear more of Will West, you could go back and listen to that WrestleMania pre-show we had on our feed last week.
Exactly. It's not 7 hours like the actual WrestleMania show.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of joking. Your wrestling pre-show was your preview was a couple hours, and I was like, man, this is going to be as long as actually watching WrestleMania. But
if you had any idea. I was even going to make the joke as we were recording. It's like, as we're recording right now, you know, a week out from WrestleMania 34, the pre-show is actually going on right now because it's so long.
Oh man, unbelievable!
And finally, now that we're done with the bracket, my iPad is back up. So thank you for
perfect timing. Prayer works, people. There's the proof. All right, guys, let's talk some video games because I know there was a lot of news that has come out over the last couple of weeks. We wanted to talk about a few things. I want to start with something that Matt brought to the table here before we got on the show, and that's that Xbox has made this announcement that there's going to be some classics coming back that you're going to be able to play on your Xbox One. So let's talk about those. What's coming back?
So you got 2 release dates, which is 17th and the 26th. 17th is a little lighter. It's got Blinks, the Time Sweeper, Breakdown, Conquer Live and Reloaded, which should be pretty fun. Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which I almost think people are still playing.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are people who, whenever I fire up Steam on PC, there are still people to this day playing Morrowind. So,
absolutely.
Yes, that audience is still very much out there.
So maybe they can glean some of those fans over. Hunter the Reckoning, Jade Empire, Panzer Dragoon Orta, and SSX 3.
There we go.
Then I think the stronger lineup is the 26th, which is Destroy All Humans, Full Spectrum Warrior, Mercenaries, MX Unleashed, Panzer Elite Action, Fields of Glory, but Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Starfighter, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Sith Lords, and Republic Commando. So those are, I think, it's pretty strong. And then just to give, some love to some 360 titles, me and Landon were talking about this, but they are going to enhance some updates for some 360 titles: Darksiders, Gears of War 2, Portal 2, Star Wars Force Unleashed, Sonic Generations, and as as Landon pointed out, the star is Red Dead Redemption.
There you
Yeah,
go.
full stop. That right there is the reason you're paying attention to this news story. I was telling the guys before we started recording, I own an Xbox One. I have it plugged up, because I might want to play Xbox One games. But the reason I have it plugged up is because I know I'm going to want to play Red Dead Redemption. So I'm super excited to see what these enhancements are going to be on the Xbox One X, because we've seen them up-res some older stuff in the past and, use the Xbox One X 4K textures and higher resolution stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. But you got to give it to Microsoft and how they're handling the backwards compatibility on the Xbox One, especially when they're giving free enhancements to some games if you own their HOS system right now.
Right.
Oh,
like
absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing. If they don't have proprietary titles, but they sure do give love to like people who may be on a budget and still like some of the older games. Is like, man, I can go down to the pawn shop and find half of these.
Well, and speaking on really watching out for the gamers that like to continue to play the older games or might be on a budget, I did see in honor of the announcement for Gears of War 2, I believe all DLC associated with Gears of War 2 is free in the Xbox Marketplace right now. So yeah, you can go get all the skins, all the characters, so you can play in your multiplayer modes, your horde modes, because that's where I put just hundreds and hundreds of hours into on Gears 2 horde mode. So I'm excited that that's gonna the DLC is going to be free. And one of those games you mentioned, it's a BioWare title that I really feel is underrated. I really liked the time I spent with Jade Empire. So if obviously...
I heard about that one a lot.
I mean, it's a kung fu role-playing game made by the people that did Knights of the Old Republic. What's not to like about that? And Nathan Fillion's a bad guy in it, so that's cool too.
Can't imagine why you're in love with that.
I know, right? Yeah, crazy. But that would obviously Red Dead Redemption is the big star here. But I mean, Red Dead is backwards compatible right now, but it's going to be enhanced, so super duper. But if you're wanting to pick up a title from those games that are coming back, Jade Empire, if you're into RPGs, might be up your alley.
Good recommendation there. I have a question from the audience. Does this news mean, like Matt said, you could go to the pawn shop and buy an old Xbox game and it's going to work on the Xbox One? Or are they releasing like digital versions that have been updated?
That I'm not sure of. Well, oh, go ahead if you know.
I was going to say, I've got a couple titles that I can pop in that are regular Xbox that do work.
And they work.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like I have Red Dead Redemption, and whenever I throw in either disc of the 360 version into Red Dead, it does work. So,
okay.
Though I would imagine some games, they like if you digitally purchased it through the Microsoft Store or whatever, they would just give you the option to re-download it. But I wouldn't be surprised if, especially with the Xbox One enhancement titles, I wouldn't be surprised if there is just a straight up digital version they make you download.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Xbox One, they got laughed out of an E3 for having, download or wanting to go full digital. But your Xbox One really does download the game whether you want it to or not. That's how
Same
it
with
works.
PlayStation.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
The code is there for it. So whether you go to the, Lester's Game Emporium and buy this game and pop it in, it's going to download it from the, Microsoft, the Xbox, game thing or whatever. So it's going to put it in there regardless of what's on the disc, I would imagine.
And based on this new news, I'm looking, Gears of War 2 is going for $570 online. So
you beat me to it. That was exactly what I was doing.
Yeah,
I was going to see how much they were.
Like, in all honesty, $6 for Gears of War 2, that is well worth the price of admission. And I do see the article, Destructoid.com is confirming all DLC is free with the Xbox One X enhancement.
Interesting. Okay. So really, what they're doing is upgrading software for the Xbox One that allows you to play these titles that we've mentioned, where maybe you couldn't before.
Yeah, and
okay.
I mean, if it works the way the 360 games work, it's through an emulator, so you're playing it as you would have played it.
I got you. See, that's
So.
interesting too. So one of the things that I always think about when I do play a game like a classic game on a newer system or something, it comes up and it usually looks like garbage, and I think to myself, did it look like this before, or is it just that they couldn't make the system like render it in a way that made it look good?
It didn't have the processing power, I would imagine, because as you well know, I've been playing through the Assassin's Creed games, and they just keep getting better. Because looking back on Assassin's Creed 3 compared to Black Flag, holy crap, that's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Black Flag into Syndicate is even more, enhanced and better in motion. And then our Origins is completely, past that. So, yeah, I guess it's just processing power.
Well, yeah. And I guess you just don't know when it comes out at the time, it looks good to you then.
It looks like everything else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then
like,
you go
oh my
back.
God, this is a game changer. And then you go back 6 months after the fact. It's like,
Ooh, hot garbage.
yeah.
Unless it's Pac-Man, and that's a classic.
Exactly. Classics never age poorly.
Well, I want to segue into a new game that is coming out, and we got a release date for it. And I'm talking Spider-Man for the PS4. It is coming back to the console world on September the 7th. So just in time for my birthday. And
take the hint, everybody that cares about Jay. Oh man, does that include us, Matt?
No, we're excluded always.
Sweet.
Just subtle hints of things that I might enjoy to receive. I'm excited because this game does look like it's going to be super fun, and there have been, I would say, Spider-Man games in the history of consoles have been hit and miss. I think a lot of people have their favorites out there. I haven't played, because I guess there's one that people kind of refer to as like the best Spider-Man game ever. Landon, you probably know what I'm talking about. Maybe it was 2.
Spider-Man 2.
But I didn't play that game, but I've played some of the other ones, and I feel like Spider-Man's one of those guys that they have struggled to make work really well in video games in the past. This one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, so I mean, who knows? Once we get it, we'll find out, right? But right now, looking at all the previews that they've shown us, some of the gameplay, it looks like the action looks smooth. I don't know if it's going to be open and sandboxy as they're making it out to look like it could be, but I hope it is. I don't know. I think it could be like when I think about the Arkham series for Batman. Those to me are the best Batman games that have ever come out, and they make you really feel like you're Batman. Like, and those are really fun experiences, and I hope that we get that kind of feeling playing this new Spider-Man game.
That would be fantastic if this ended up being the Arkham Asylum equivalent for Spider-Man, because you did mention, I mean, outside of a handful of games, I mentioned Spider-Man 2 already. The original Spider-Man games were fun on the original PlayStation, but I mean, we talk about going back and looking at older games. That game has not aged well. Another game I would say I really enjoyed was Web of Shadows, which kind of let you play either good Spider-Man or bad Spider-Man, and the more, I guess, bad decisions you made, the more abilities you would unlock with the symbiote suit, and vice versa with, the classic red and blue suit. But I am really excited for this game coming out in September from Insomniac Games. These are the people that have brought us, like Ratchet and Clank and stuff like that. They've done a handful of things, but they're most well known for doing their Ratchet and Clank series. So I'm excited to see what they can do with the character with Marvel's Spider-Man and give it that Ratchet and Clank polish that Insomniac is known for. And plus, I mean, I really feel like, for me at least, this is the game that I'm most excited for coming out the remainder of this year. I mean, as a PS4 fan, I'm obviously excited for God of War 4 coming out on the 20th of this month. But I don't know, just everything we've seen so far of this Spider-Man game does look super cool. But I do want to piggyback on something Jay said. I don't know how open world or sandboxy this game is going to be, because the action looks cool, but it seems like all the action we're seeing is within the confines of like a level. You go down this corridor, then you hang a left, then you go up to the next level, then you go down this corridor, and then you go right. And you know what? If that's the game they want to make, Sure, cool, go for it. But make us feel like Spider-Man. Jay mentioned the Arkham Asylum games made you feel like Batman. Make us feel like Spidey when we go web slinging and stuff like that. So I'm very excited, but I am curious to see what Insomniac is going to do with it.
Yeah. And I bet your favorite part is going to be when they make you drive the spider car.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, my favorite part is something they already revealed. A certain boy of mine is going to be a character in this game.
Oh, yeah. Miles Morales.
My boy. Now, I don't know if he's going to be playable or not, but Miles has been shown in this universe in the trailer. So I'm curious to see how they're going to handle Miles as well.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see. As long as we're doing some speculating and talking about rumors, how about this rumor? Well, first of all, let's start with fact. We know now that there is going to be a Super Smash Bros. For the Switch. We don't know when. Although when I was at GameStop recently, they tried to ask us if we wanted to pre-order a game that doesn't even have a release date yet.
Yep,
that
sounds about right.
I was like, I think we'll wait until we know for sure that it's coming out. How about that?
Yeah. When we can pin down a year that it's going to come out, then we'll come back.
Right. So, but that was a bold move. I got to give him props. That was a bold. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, I guess. So,
Actually, correct.
But anyway, the rumor I wanted to reference was that there's some talk that there may be a co-op story mode on this new Switch, which would be a whole new thing for Super Smash Bros. I would be totally down for that because I like Super Smash Bros, but the one mode of multiplayer sometimes it gets you get tired of that eventually. So I'd like the variety in gameplay for that game. I think that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and especially the fact that it would be a co-op campaign experience, because there had been some campaigns in the past with Smash Bros, but it generally just tends to devolve into, all right, we're gonna make you play against 6 Mega Samuses for reasons, and then it would move on to another cutscene. So if you can do something with your friend, and especially if it's couch co-op, which is what the Smash Bros has really been built about, because it's like, I know you said you could only do regular Smash Bros so much before you really want to tap out. I don't know how many nights I lost sitting on a couch in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, with me and my friends in their college dorm, just playing Smash Bros until the sun comes up, just spending hours on end. So, obviously, this is something I'm excited. And also, we're not sure this is a brand new Smash Brothers game. I've seen some speculation saying this is just going to be a re-release of the Wii U Smash Brothers game with all of the DLC included, a la what they did with Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. So that is something I'm also curious about as well. But I mean, more Smash Bros, I'm all for.
Matt, have you ever gotten into the Smash Bros franchise?
Nah,
not really.
I mean, it kind of fell after a time when I was playing stuff. I mean, I was big into GoldenEye, and I was big into we went from GoldenEye to Perfect Dark, so we never really got into Smash Bros. I mean, I played it was fun and stuff, but I mean, it wasn't enough for me to really grab me. I mean, overall, I like some of the funny characters they put in. I think at one point you could be Darth Vader. Is that one of them that they'd thrown in there? And it was
that's Soul Calibur.
Oh, see, I didn't even play it then. No, but there was some other stuff. I can't remember. There was some goofy people they put in there.
I mean, Smash Bros. In the last few years has seen Sonic as a playable character.
Yeah, there you go.
Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid has been a playable character. Bayonetta from Bayonetta has been a playable character.
Do you get a wet box to hide under?
Snake actually does have a move where he hides in a box.
Yeah,
nice.
And if somebody tries to attack the box, they get countered and take damage.
That's what happens when I
edit.
Oh God!
I didn't mean that. Oh my gosh! I wasn't going there.
That was the whole point of the joke.
Anyway, wow. Okay, so we'll find out more about Super Smash Bros. At E3 2018, which is coming up in June. So until then, we get to speculate. Well, there probably won't be a ton of news until then. So more to come.
Emporium.
Yeah.
To tell you about it.
Yeah, it gives us a lot more time to speculate and talk about rumors and me to make jokes that I didn't even realize were blue.
And be extremely profane.
Yeah, all right. last thing before we get into the Friday the 13th material, because I know I told you guys we were going to go long, but this is one thing I just wanted to mention. So we got a new Solo trailer just a couple days ago. I asked on Twitter, because I was going to avoid it, and I asked, should I watch this? Should I just avoid it? Robert responded, and he said that it tripled his excitement for the movie. So
I'm stoked.
It talked me into it, so I did watch it, and wow. Yeah, he was right. This is the best trailer they've put out. Obviously, the movie's coming out in about a month, but yeah, we get to hear Lando talk for the first time.
Yes.
What did you guys think of that?
I think
how awesome it was.
I think it's pretty awesome.
I mean,
I
think he's an awesome actor. I just don't. I don't know him not having as bassy voices.
It's true for both of them. They both sound like these characters are going to have to go through puberty before we get to the characters that we see in the movie.
I will admit that. Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
At the same time, it's like these are younger versions of that character. So.
Oh no, yeah, it's true. All the space drinking and the hard life of a smuggler.
All the spice abuse
kind of takes a hit on you.
Yeah, I don't know, but you're right. They don't quite have the baritone in their neither one of them in their voices.
No,
Chewie sounds like Chewie though.
Yeah, that is true, and apparently
you do
Chewie,
find out how old he is too.
Yeah, 190 years old, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He looks good for that.
He looks great.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo what you guys said. This is the best trailer this movie has put out, and this is the most excited I've been for this movie. Because it was back at Super Bowl Sunday or the big game Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't sue us, NFL. When we saw our first
Super Bowl Sunday. I think that's what you said.
No, I said Superb Owl.
Okay, there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's like the more I see of this movie, the more I'm interested in it. So yeah. I'm excited. Obviously, like you guys, for when this movie does come out, giant dork baby, whatever. I'm going to be seeing it. Maybe not opening night, but if they keep releasing stuff like this, it might creep its way into an opening night movie for me.
I will see it opening night.
I really don't want to see any more trailers until it comes out now. I mean, it's only a month away.
That's true.
With you.
So from here on out, I'm done, and I just want to go see the movie. I may not go. I probably won't go opening night, but I do. And I'm looking at it like this. I am more excited now than I was for the teaser that we got, during the Super Bowl. They've definitely built my anticipation, but I am still looking at it like, okay, this is going to be fun, but I'm not going in like, oh, this is going to be like the Solo that I've always wanted to see. I'm not even thinking that now. I just think of it like it's going to be a fun Star Wars movie.
Yep. That's where I'm at. This is a Rogue One-esque.
Yeah.
It's related to main people, but I feel like it could be enough detached that it wouldn't, furrow anything.
I'm going to detach it in my mind anyway. Well, I think I'll enjoy it more that way.
He does a good job in the trailer trying to emulate Harrison Ford.
Gestures and mannerisms. I think you're right. I think you can definitely tell that there was a lot of coaching there that went on, like. Because I do feel like he kind of is carrying himself with the Harrison Ford Han Solo swagger, and he's got some of the movements and things down, but it's just not going to be the same. So I'm not going to expect it to be. I'm going to go in and just be like, you know what? I'm not going to be the old grumpy curmudgeon that I was going to be in the first place. I'm just going to enjoy this movie. So,
no, that's a good outlook to have, but it's like I don't want to be the old curmudgeon guy either, but every time I look at the kid playing Han Solo, I think he's supposed to be a young Chris Pine. I just don't see Harrison Ford in him.
Yeah.
Where it's like Donald Glover, I could see him growing up into Lando. Obviously, that's the only character that we know of that is going other than Chewbacca. But I mean, like Chewie's Chewie. You said it. Chewie sounds like Chewie. Chewie looks like Chewie. Chewie. So I really felt like if we followed these characters growing up, like he would end up being Chris Pine. He just looks like Chris Pine.
We got the wrong captain.
Yeah, y'all got the wrong captain.
Or Kurt Russell.
It's going to be
Kurt
a really
Russell, there you
easy
go.
crossover when Han Solo turns out to be James T. Kirk.
Yeah, that's right.
Or crossover, it's Ego.
It's Ego. Yeah, well, maybe he is a god. He's an all-powerful being. Maybe he rewrote history and became Han Solo. I don't know.
Well, he had to put the space baby in Leia.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Leia, I mean.
Han Solo, everybody, May 25th, right? That's the release date. I'm pretty sure.
No, Lando colon a Solo story.
Yeah. So, but it's not May 25th this weekend. It's Friday the 13th. And one of the things that we talked about that we really wanted to discuss on today's show were classic, maybe all-time great slasher films. Paying tribute to Friday the 13th, obviously, the Jason classics, if you want to call them that. Some of them are really good.
Quote-unquote classics.
I say some of them are pretty good. Some of them are really bad.
Good, and then other ones he goes to space.
Other ones he goes to Manhattan, yeah.
Well, he went
Alberta.
to Times Square, yeah.
or even to hell, yeah.
It was shot in Canada, so he was in Canada for the majority of the movie.
And I'm starting to realize whenever Jason has to go anywhere, it's generally
It doesn't
to
turn out
disappointing
well.
results.
That's right. Or even in the dreams when he had to fight Freddy, that didn't turn out well either.
Good.
He needs to stay at Crystal Lake. That's what we know.
Yeah, that's what we're telling you, Jace. Stick to your strengths.
Yeah. So when I say to you all, like classic slasher, what's your all-time favorite slasher? Do you have one that pops up to your mind? If I was going to throw a slasher party, this one would have to be on the rotation. Like, what do you think when I say what's the all-time best slasher film ever made?
I don't know that I could answer that definitively without getting hate.
Well, this is all your opinion, right? It's all based on your perspective. So I don't think there's a wrong answer.
The genre is the bad thing,
and it's like I don't. It's like I know this is going to come as a shock just based on how much I've talked about Friday the 13th. It's like maybe outside of the first couple Friday movies, I really don't have any desire to sit down and watch them unless it's Friday the 13th and there's a marathon on or something. So my favorite slasher movie, and it's probably going to be just when it came out and when I saw it when I was really coming of age, it's going to be Scream for me because it reintroduced the slasher genre to Hollywood because it had kind of been waning at that point. And what I liked about Scream was it had a fun story and it poked fun at the tropes of every slasher horror movie you want to talk about. Never say you're going to be back. If you have sex, you're going to get killed. Blah blah blah, stuff like that. But I'm also going to give a shout out to Freddy Krueger and the Nightmare Before Elm Street franchise because growing up, Freddy terrified me. But as an adult looking back on it, he's just like a sociopathic Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Yeah, we've discussed that one. I'm in the same boat as you. I was afraid of him as a kid, but it's ridiculous as an adult.
Yeah, now it's like
Yes. Shoo. Terrible.
Well, and it's like I don't know if Rick and Morty have something to do with this because they had the parody episode of Scary Terry, and Scary Terry just, I'm Scary Terry, bitch, and everything he ended it with was with bitch. So now whenever I hear Freddy Krueger, everything he says is ended with bitch. So that might also have a reason to be why it's like, man, Freddy is just a giant cartoon character.
That may have softened it a bit. I actually don't mind the pick of Scream because it was one, for me, that's one that comes to mind too, for a couple of reasons. One, that was one of my first horror movies that I went to like with my friends and went to the theater like without my parents or anything and saw that one. So it has that going for it, but also like that movie, while it was kind of a spoof, it was a bit of a, kind of poking fun at the genre, as you said. It was still a quality, entertaining movie. Like, and to me, it holds up today. I still like watching that movie. I wouldn't say the sequel does, or the third or fourth, however many they did.
Yeah, they maybe should have stopped at one.
Yeah,
I understand wanting to get multiple paychecks to cash them, but
yeah, but one was good. It was fun, and actually, it had some decent jump scare moments. It had some decent suspense. It had its comic relief built in, and I don't know. I don't think that's a terrible pick, actually. I support that.
And one more word on that, at least for me. Part of the reason I said is because of how old I was when I watched it. And when I watched it, when I saw it for the very first time, me and my brother were home alone by ourselves. And in that opening scene where Drew Barrymore is introduced and then quickly taken away from us, you know how the phone rings right at the moment when the killer calls Drew Barrymore for the first time, our phone rang.
Oh.
Yeah, so there was a moment of like this is a fake, right? This isn't real moment that Tyler and I had to have with each other. But yeah, that was a fun aspect to our viewing experience.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna say, I mean, I had to look up like actual slasher flicks because there's a lot of stuff that like I would put up there, but I don't, consider slasher, and I guess no one else does either. So I had to put it between two, and then I added a third because it was just hilarious that I didn't know this was a slasher flick, and I enjoy it. But I'm gonna say Chucky
Okay.
and American Psycho.
Okay. All right.
And Chucky, I just thought, man, you don't know where that little doll's gonna be or what he's gonna do, and then he's got that horrendous yell, "Raw," every time he does anything. And then American Psycho's just, I like the weirdness of it, and how he's just like, hey, I'm a normal business guy. Oh, why is your floor covered in plastic? So, I mean, it was kind of different. But the one that I did not know was a slasher flick that I do enjoy is sad, but is Idle Hands. Have you guys ever seen this movie?
I have seen that movie. I didn't think that was a slasher. But
It's
they're saying
considered
that's
a
in the
slasher
category.
flick, and it makes me laugh to know that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have
So-
seen that one, and I think that's a fun movie. So that's a Seth Green movie.
Oh yeah, and that's the big reason for me. I've always been a big Seth Green fan. I mean, even if it's terrible, I'll still probably watch it.
Yeah. And he's good in it, but that's a fun one. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting pick. So American Psycho, I think, is a good pick. That kind of came out of left field for me, but as I think about it, you're right. I mean, that movie is absolutely a slasher flick, and I love that movie. I love Christian Bale in it. That was probably the first time I'd ever seen Christian Bale, and I was like, this dude is awesome. His performance in that movie is incredible.
I agree. It's probably the first time I saw him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those eye-opening, like, wow, this guy's a good actor.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's good. And then Chucky is another example of something that scared me as a child that shouldn't have. So
Yeah, because when you realize it's like, it's a doll, just punt it across the room if it comes at you.
You think that, but I mean, he come out from under the bed. You get up in the morning, you're stretching, right there, Achilles tendon, gone.
That's right. That's right.
Well then put him in a big like one of those chest lock things, lock it, then throw it in the ocean. Boom, done. Suck it, Chucky.
He doesn't drown.
Exactly. So he's gonna
He's gonna wait for the wood to. Yeah, he's gonna wait for the wood to degrade, and then you're like 10 years down the road. You're living the family life. You're enjoying something at the mall. All of a sudden, right in the stomach from this wet, nasty doll, it just jumped out at you.
Shanked by a baby doll.
But joke's on him. For this last 10 years, I have been training with the kicking Colquitts of the NFL. So when he comes up, I'm just gonna punt him like a 62-yard field goal.
Nice.
Shout out to the kicking Colquitts.
Nice. I put him in there to an unrelated but related genre of the clown from Poltergeist. That thing was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared of clowns or anything, but just that thing, they did a great job of making that terrible looking, why would you have that in a children's room thing, it just jumping out and grabbing the brother or whatever. So
yeah, Poltergeist was a straight up terrifying movie.
Poltergeist was great. When he starts peeling his face off,
oh god,
yeah.
just oof.
That's one of those movie moments that I can still kind of recall the first time I saw it and how creepy it felt watching it. Yeah.
I was like, ugh. I'm gonna go eat a hamburger. I'll be back now.
Right.
Anybody want tartar all of a sudden?
Somebody bring me some lasagna. All right. Well, this might seem like low-hanging fruit, but I'm going to go Friday the 13th for mine. And I'll tell you why. Because I feel like Friday the 13th, and I'll just say the original. I'm not going to try to say like the entire series, but I'll just say the original. It hits all the notes. It has every classic element of a slasher film that you want. I mean, it's got the kind of outlandish, like, and overly grotesque murders. It has the kids that are totally fine until they start committing sins, and then their comeuppance. Right. They get their comeuppance.
Having premarital sex and smoking of the marijuana reefer cigarettes.
Exactly.
Marijuana.
Yes, that's how you have to pronounce it, marijuana.
But it also plays into the camp aspect, and camp movies were like real big in the 80s. Those were fun to watch, so it has that element to it. And it plays on a lot of fears, just what's in the dark, what's stalking you, what's watching you from behind a tree when you're in the woods, that sort of thing. So as a kid, it did scare me, but for whatever reason, I wasn't nearly as afraid of the Friday the 13th series as I was some of the other ones that aren't nearly as scary. And so I would watch these, I actually could sit down and watch, and I didn't run out of the room when Jason came on the screen or something. So, and Kevin Bacon's in the first one. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Dancing his way to death.
That's right.
Well, if we want to talk about famous first, Leonardo DiCaprio was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah,
Johnny Depp is in
Johnny
that
Depp was.
No,
too.
Johnny Depp.
Or sorry, Johnny Depp. I knew what you
Depp,
meant.
not-
You
yeah,
said
not Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Johnny.
Same difference.
Could we qualify
Practically the same person.
based off what you just said, Justin? Could we qualify Rambo as a slasher flick?
I don't know, but I was thinking maybe Predator
Yes,
because
I would qualify that as
unless
I
you're
mean,
saying
he's in,
are you saying for Rambo like Rambo is the monster in the woods basically?
yes, he's in the woods behind a tree. He could kill you at any time.
Yeah.
You don't know what he's going to do. I mean, all you have to interject is take out the cops and put in teenagers, and I mean he's a mass murderer. I was just trying to play with this genre of what's considered a slasher film. I was like, well, wouldn't Rambo be considered a slasher film?
Yeah, it could be. It's interesting. So I actually found this article on complex.com, and this was actually written Halloween of last year. This guy Matt Barone rated his top 25 best slasher movies of all time, and he has some qualities, that what qualifies a slasher movie, and one of them, he says that like for a slasher movie, you can't he says Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are not considered slasher movies because in that case you went to the wrong place at the wrong time and you just got trapped in a situation, so that technically doesn't count. I guess slasher movies are more like there's a force that is coming and stalking you wherever you are, which is kind of weird because I feel like Camp Crystal Lake would count as a place that you went to and got stuck, but
A destination.
yeah. But like an example of I think what he's talking about, because his number one of all time is Halloween.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
It is.
It is, and in that case, the monster is coming to your house, like right there in your neighborhood,
And then following you to your neighbor's house.
and following you to your neighbor's house. So I think that's for him that's part of what qualifies. But I guess I was thinking too. A lot of times there's less supernatural. There's more of that. It's almost like a human version of Jaws. There's some threat that's coming after you that you don't always see, but it's leaving a trail of bodies. And
Could the Final Destinations fall in that?
I was
As
wondering.
death is the
I was wondering that, but I think those are maybe
It's
too
supernatural,
Too
yeah.
supernatural, maybe.
we don't have a face to the killer.
Yeah, that's just fate coming after you.
One I had for
Death is undefeated.
That's right. He's the reigning champion. I looked up one. I was just kind of scanning through slasher flicks, and I found one I'd forgotten about, but I want to say that I liked when I saw it. Was Urban Legend. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah,
It
I
was
know
right
Urban
around
Legend.
about the screen time.
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
Yeah, and that movie turned into a franchise as well, didn't it?
I know what you did last summer.
Did,
I don't know
yeah,
if
it
Urban
did.
Legend did it. Okay.
Well, no, I'm saying I know that I know what you did last summer. I don't know if there was an Urban Legend 2. It seems like there was, because why wouldn't
I
they
wanna
make
say
a
there
sequel
was
of
a
that
two.
movie?
Wow, Jared Leto was in this. Tara
Yes.
Reid before she went off the rails. Michael Rosenbaum, Rebecca Gayheart. Wow, this is a pretty decent cast.
Yeah.
It was a good movie at its time. I mean, I don't know if it holds up now, but I didn't hate it. Yeah, there was a second one. I remember the second one too. Urban Legends Final Cut.
That's
Yeah,
right.
There we go.
Garbage.
Yep, final cut.
Who was in this trash can? Well, I mean, Matthew Davis, Loretta Devine. I guess she was back in it. Joey Lawrence. That says everything
Whoa.
I need to know. And then Eva Mendes. What are you doing slumming around in this film?
Yeah, that's probably before she was Eva Mendes.
Yeah, true. So
I kind of feel
Yeah,
like
the-
she's been
the-
in some stickers though.
I love the way Google gives you really what you're asking for when you start clicking things, and it's like, oh, so you like this? Let me show you some more trash.
Oh,
'Cause
speaking of more
Valentine-
trash, staying on Urban Legends, there was a direct-to-video sequel to the sequel.
Okay.
Urban
Yeah.
Legends Bloody Mary.
I'm sure
Which is
that's a
probably-
good one.
Which is
Very
probably what
interested.
you need to drink to get through this movie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely several.
That could be a fun episode. Really bad direct to home movies.
What's your worst straight to DVD you know of?
I feel like that's a whole other podcast because I could just see us really diving deep into some of those stinkers.
Yeah, and here we are 7 hours later. It's like, what happened? I thought we had stuff to do today.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one straight to the trash can on your local DVD or your local rental DVDs.
So here's the top 5 that this gentleman gave us for slasher films. Number 5, he put Peeping Tom from 1960. Not familiar with that one. Number 4, Alice, Sweet Alice from 1976. Again, I haven't seen that one.
Is he going to mention anything that we know of?
Yes. 3 is A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984.
All right, I'm aware of that one.
Number 2 is Black Christmas from 1974.
I've heard of that.
And then number 1 is Halloween from 1978. And his description, he sold me on a few of these. I feel like I need to watch them. And he's got some that are like foreign films and all kinds of interesting slasher options. So I recommend, I'll put a link to this on our Twitter account. So if you all want to go take a look at this list appropriately on Friday the 13th, pick out something for your viewing pleasure. If you happen to be staying in and doing what I do on Friday and hanging out at the house,
going to bed early
because we're old.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, yes, it's Friday night. That means I get to go to bed at 9.
So that'll probably give you some good suggestions. So again, our Twitter account @nerd_news_cafe. We love to hear from you guys. And thanks, Robert, for talking me into watching the Solo trailer. And I also wanted to say, Thomas did weigh in on the Pixar bracket, and he said that for him, WALL-E would win the whole thing. So we're in tune, me and Thomas. So
somebody needs to be in tune with you.
That's right. True. So I think that should wrap up the show for today. We had planned on maybe a half hour of content, and we've gone for an hour, as we usually do. So once again, congratulations for going way over. But I can only do so much to keep this thing on the rails. I do what I can.
Do you do what you can?
I try.
Okay, all right.
So before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs. So Landon, what have you got going on?
Twitter.com/Landoz, LANDOZ. That's where you can find the latest from me. 280 characters at a time. I run a website, buttmunchchips.com, buttmunchchips.
Sit on your butt.
And you munch.
And that is where you can find the exclusively posted Game of Thrones talk, a.k.a. Got Talk. That is a episode-by-episode breakdown of Season 7 of HBO's award-winning series, Game of Thrones. And just based on some of the reaction I've got on this special episode of Nearfall Radio that dropped recently, I think I'm going to start doing that again on a regular basis. I have some people I've reached out to see if they would like to appear on said show. So keep an ear out for that and the latest. And, of course, that's posted at buttmunchchips.com. And remember, buttmunchchips.
Sit on your butt.
And munch.
Well, I'm terrified.
It's probably our best one yet.
That was good. Matt, your turn.
Tracking Track Podcast @TrackingTrackPod on Twitter. If you want to catch up with us and the voyages of Discovery, you can now jump on there, get your free month, and get caught up on Discovery and know exactly what we're talking about, all the jokes, all the observations, all the weird insights that we didn't have. So, jump on there, get caught up with us. We're still planning on doing a show for the first movie, kind of to look at what we have now and then what we had late 70s. So that's not going to be a good comparison, but we'll see what we have. But anyway, hang in there with us. We'll drop in at some point in time. I'm not sure. Still working on scheduling, and season 2 is a long way away, so we're going to have to do something. But like I said, Tracking Track Podcast @TrackingTrackPod on Twitter.
Nice. And again, we're Nerd News Cafe. You can find us on all the social medias. If you go Google us, you'll find us all over the place. We've got a Facebook fan page. We have a website, which is nerdnewscafe.com. Our Twitter, I've mentioned several times. We're on YouTube. We do have a forum that I haven't updated in a while because people suck and don't want to interact with us on there, but that's okay.
That's not
Nothing
nice.
but pornography.
Yeah, it's
Pornography
porn
as far
bots.
as the eye can see.
That's right. I get tired of talking to them. They kind of have one track mind, and maybe that's why my jokes get so blue, because I'm just like, hey, that's where my mind goes now. But yeah, you can get to us. We also have an email, so nerdnewscafe@gmail.com if you want to send us something, and in response, or maybe, it doesn't have to be exactly anything that we talked about on the show. You might be bringing something to our attention. Maybe you want to suggest a show idea. We're always open to that sort of thing, and we'll give you a shout out if we use your ideas as well. So rate and review on iTunes. 5 stars are good. We'll take them. We'll take all the stars. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week with a lot more show. Join us then, and until then, I hope that you get out there and I don't know, play some Fortnite, because that's what everybody else is doing. So Matt, wrap us up.